Morning Motor Cars. It is September 29th, Friday morning. Some things happening right now as we speak. Women, for the very first time, can drive legally in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia was the last country on the planet that forbade women to drive. Also this weekend, kind of a sad note, Motor Cars Downtown is closing on the 29th today. Also, some mixed feelings about this one. Uber plans to stop leasing vehicles to drivers. Birthdays this weekend. On the 29th, Levon Knowles, who is a Honda technician, so happy birthday. Anniversaries this weekend, all on the 1st. Chuck Guile, Motor Cars owner, has an anniversary this weekend. Also, Kelly Basiloni, who is a Toyota Vehicle Upgrade Manager. Adam Howe, who's in Honda sales, and Marita Bird at the Platinum Lounge. So happy anniversary, y'all. One of the things I'd like to chat a little bit about is one of those recurring topics having to do with customer service. Errors happen, and one complaint screams louder than 30 compliments, especially these days when it leaks online. To turn a negative into a positive, remember that an angry customer wants to know that their complaint is being heard now. That being the case, don't send an email, call. Take ownership. Whenever possible, solve the issue yourself. If that's not possible, at least be the customer's one point of contact. Remember to say, "I'm sorry. How can I make it better?" Don't give a customer a cause to say that their needs weren't met and make things worse. Go out of your way to make it right. Handle all internal communications yourself. Don't pass the buck. Once you're done, ask your customer if they're satisfied with the results. After you make it right, apologize again. Learn from your mistakes and make sure that everybody around you learns from those mistakes too. One of the other things I'd like to chat about is the whole long question of whether or not to call somebody versus emailing somebody versus texting somebody. The thing to remember is a phone call is always better than an email, but these days when so many people pay more attention to their text than they do to their phone messages, I'm kind of leaning towards texting people even rather than calling them because you're more likely to get an immediate response. Never deliver bad news via email or text. Always talk with someone when it's bad news. These days, no one has time to chat. If it's an internal or an external customer calls you to the phone, it's because they need immediate help and can't wait for an email reply or a text reply. Never ask a customer to call back. That's rude. They've already called us. They've done their job. It's our job to call them back. And if you have to transfer a call, make sure that you transfer the call to a human being, never to a voicemail. Also, tell the customer whom you're transferring them to and let the person you're transferring to know who you're transferring to them and what the issue is so they just don't walk in cold. One of the other things that we tend to forget is when all this paying attention to all the things that go wrong is what happens when things go right and a customer actually does business with us. There's an actual etiquette to that. Thank the customer for doing business with us. Make quarterly follow-up calls to make sure that each service or product that we sold to them is still performing the way that we want it to, so that we stay in touch and stay front of mind. The newsletters can't do all that heavy lifting. A human touch is required. If they need additional training on how things work in the car, if they've got any questions, make sure you get them answered for them and be the person that does the answering. Ask them if they'd recommend you to their friends or relatives. Also remember, if they're expecting a baby or just got promoted or recently married or just returned from an interesting vacation, send them a card about it. You can always link up with all your customers on LinkedIn so you know all that stuff that's going on. And it's not a wrong thing to ask to link up with your customers on Facebook as well. Send a handwritten note or card to tell your customers that you value their business. Who does that anymore? People that are successful, that's who. The most powerful tool in our marketing arsenal is a customer referral. Give your customers a reason to brag about you and they'll spread the word. And that's regardless of whether you're in sales or service or any other department at Motor Cars. Everybody who interacts with us should always have a reason to brag about it. Have a great weekend, Motor Cars.